Greetings, travelers. I'm your host, the C. That Knows a Lot, Dr. Waluigi. Continuing with my favorite 80s movies, we move on to the year of 1988. This is the year that gave us some great comedies as well as great horror films, specifically a monster flick, one of which is, in my opinion, quite underrated despite its many sequels and other related merchandise. But don't want to give too much away before I even talk about my list, so let us continue with part 2 of my top 100 favorite movies of the 1980s. Number 90. Pumpkinhead. Kicking things off is a monster movie that I wish more people knew about. The movie follows a man who loses his son after getting run over by some kids riding on their dirt bikes. He goes to a local witch in order for her to bring to life a vengeance demon to go and kill his son's murderers. I think the best part about this movie is the atmosphere. The camera work and the coloring choices that were made give the movie a creepy mood with many scenes where the characters might feel safe at one moment, but then terrified the next with how Pumpkinhead appears at random. I also love how Pumpkinhead, despite being a demon, expresses several human emotions, like how he enjoys tormenting the people he's being tasked to kill by messing with their getaway vehicles or walking off multiple gunshots. While the sequels are something to be desired, I do still highly recommend this great monster movie for its characters and going back to the old style of movie making with the atmosphere and writing that are similar to old school monster movies. Number 89. The Blob. One of the few remakes that isn't hot shit, The Blob took a goofy and dated sci-fi horror story and made it into something truly terrifying. While the movie doesn't really change a lot from the original's plot, what it does change is making the monster more threatening and honestly more frightening. I'm not gonna lie, the original blob effects haven't aged that well and don't show what a giant blob that kills people could really do. But the remake took those ideas and made it horrifying. From seeing the people this blob grabs and watching their bodies suffocate and dissolve right before your eyes. I will admit that the only reason why this movie is so low on the list is because the characters aren't anything to write home about. But I still love it for the amazing special effects upgrade that we got. Number 88. They Live. I've talked before about this movie on my top 10 favorite John Carpenter movies, so I'll keep this brief and just say that this still remains my favorite movie by John Carpenter for focusing on what still makes the world rotten with how twisted capitalism can be and how the rich want to keep everyone else beneath them. One thing I didn't talk about with this movie was the amazing design of the aliens that are disguised as the rich humans. I like when we see what they look like. Their design is something like a fusion of humans but having insectoid features with their eyes and the skin looking decayed like the aliens could be possessing dead bodies. It's really fascinating how much more I get out of this movie every time I watch it. Number 87. Big. As someone who grew up with a lot of movies during the 2000s and 2010s, the one trendy series of movies I remember seeing was the kid in an adult's body movie. And suffice it to say, of the ones I had seen or at least heard of, they were all dumb and repetitive movies that had little to offer when it came to the writing. Then, a few years ago, I got around to watching the movie that popularized the genre with Big. The movie where a kid wishes he was big and turns into Tom Hanks. The thing I like a lot about this movie is the writing and how Tom Hanks nailed the portrayal of the main character. I like watching this kid go through the emotions of what it's like to be an adult, missing your home, being scared to live in a strange place at the beginning of the movie, and then ending with him realizing the importance of being a kid and making another wish to return to his proper age. It's a movie that I hadn't seen tackled a subject like this very well, and is a movie I would highly recommend if anyone else is looking for a movie with this kind of a plot. Number 86. The Great Outdoors. Another great John Candy movie with the added bonus of having Dan Aykroyd as his co-star. This is one of two movies that John Candy did about his character and his family going on a summer vacation, but it leading to lots of wacky shenanigans. Though his other movie, Summer Rental, was a very boring and unfunny mess that I can honestly say is not worth your time. But this movie is laugh-out-loud funny and heartwarming with moments of John and Dan wanting to enjoy their vacation but end up butting heads with each other, leading to a climax of them fighting a bald-headed bear. It's an overall funny summer classic that I love rewatching over the more popular First Vacation movie. Number 85. Oliver and Company. One of the many 80s Disney movies that I feel doesn't get enough attention as the other Disney animated movies of the decade. An adaptation of Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist with cute animals, I love this movie for the same reasons I love a lot of Disney's movies. Great cast, wonderful animation, especially this era of Disney movies with the scratchy hand-drawn style, and the music. Good lords, I love the music in this movie, which was partially done by the amazing Billy Joel. But Billy Joel's songs from this movie is just the cherry on the top of a delicious sundae, with some of my favorite Disney songs coming from this movie, including Streets of Gold, Once Upon a Time in New York City, and even Good Company. I honestly don't get why this movie gets dunked on by other fans, as it does a lot of similar things that other Disney movies have done. But maybe it's just me and I have strange tastes. Number 84. Willow. This was one movie I felt had to grow on me after a few watches, but it is now a favorite fantasy film of mine. Warwick Davis plays a young wizard in training who goes on an adventure to return a lost child, only to be thrown into a dark plot involving an evil witch trying to kill the child, and Willow must find a way to stop her. This is a movie that I love because it's a good example of an unlikely hero story, but it doesn't force a message down your throat. Meaning, I like that no one comments on Willow's height and making it the focus of the movie's character flaw. And instead, it's more about Willow overcoming his doubts of being a great wizard. This is what I feel needs to be focused on in modern media, putting more focuses on the characters' emotional flaws and less on their physical traits. I have no opinions on the show, as I've only seen 2 episodes of the show so far, but I do intend to finish it, and I hope it's just as good as the original movie. Number 83. The Land Before Time. One of the big 4 Don Bluth movies that is still a wonderful childhood rewatch despite it being a tearjerker. A story of a group of unlikely friends going on a journey to a safe home. This is one of many dinosaur movies that I remember seeing over and over again for its gorgeous animation, lovable characters, excluding Sarah, she is still a huge bitch all these years later, and a decent soundtrack. I will admit that while the music is still good, it is not my favorite of the Don Bluth movie catalog, but I still enjoy everything else, with this being a classic story of growing up and accepting the harshness of life, but still being able to find the joy in it with friends and other family members in your life. It is a beautiful movie that I highly recommend everyone check out if you haven't already. Number 82. The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. One of the many great movies by Monty Python member Terry Gilliam is a fantasy movie that leads into quite the weird and wackiness of British-style humor. The movie is slightly based off of the German folk hero of the same name that follows the Baron going on a journey to get his friends back together to fight against the Sultan who is invading the German Empire. This movie takes a lot of inspiration from other fairy tale-like stories including Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and even some Greek mythology, which upon recently watching most of his other movies, I've noticed that he loves classic Brothers Grimm era fairy tales. And this one just happens to have a lot of what I like, from the comedy, action scenes, and the actors bringing these characters to life. I wouldn't say this is Terry Gilliam's best movie of all time, but it does have a fun charm and great special effects that any fairy tale fan will enjoy. Number 81. Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Still my all-time favorite slasher movie, as well as my favorite of the Friday the 13th movies. Following the events of Part 6, Jason is resurrected by a girl with telekinesis and continues his general rampage against a group of horny teenagers. I think for me, the 3 things that make this my favorite of the Friday the 13th movies are the kills. Despite being practically censored and cut down by the MPA, this movie still has the most creative kills in the franchise. Number 2 was the design of Jason, where we see how much damage he's received over the course of 7 movies, and it's still the best he's ever looked. Finally, this movie has my favorite final girl and couple with Tina and Nick. Despite Tommy Jarvis from parts 4 and 6, the other final characters are really boring and bland. At least Tina is interesting with having her abilities, which has her take Jason on an equal footing, and I do like her growth throughout the movie. As far as Nick goes, I just like the way he's written and how the relationship between him and Tina feels natural. Unlike a lot of characters who are just incredibly horny or are there to be the traumatized survivor. I do agree that I wish the movie wasn't so heavily censored and that we got more on-screen gore from the movie, but I do feel it's one that is at the very least better written compared to the other movies in the franchise. Thanks for watching part 2 of my list. Tune in next month for part 3 where I talk about the movies from 1987. Good night, everyone.